My name's Danielle Sutherland, and I'm the Curriculum Development Manager at Skylark Children, Youth, and Families. So Tuning In for Parents is our drug education program for parents so that they can learn tools to be able to have better conversations with their young people about substances. It's a 6-hour program, and it usually happens once a week for 3 weeks, so it's 2 hours each. We have sessions, our drug education program for young people. Parents really wanted ways that they could have conversations with their young people, and so we adapted some of the tools we use for our facilitators into ways that parents could use with their young people as well. We developed Tuning In for Parents, but we also developed Tuning In for Professionals, but really just to support their young people from multiple different avenues. The really great thing about Tuning In Parents for workshops is it's not just information giving. It's really a time where parents get an opportunity to practice some of the skills that we provide them with. So they get to try it with a partner, or we give them time to really practice with the group so that the facilitators who are really skilled in teaching these tools can give them feedback. What we try to encourage the parents to do is just have engaging conversations with their young people so that they can have a more open dialogue. Because if you react from fear and if you react from a place of concern, young people often read that as judgment or not trusting them. So we really have to help parents kind of reframe how young people are learning and how young people's brains are developing, and how the kind of default for a young person is not to use their critical thinking skills, it's to react from their gut. One of the reasons why we think it's really important to talk about the benefits and harms about drug use is because we're trying to reduce the stigma associated with substance use, because often young people don't feel comfortable to talk about when they feel like maybe their substance use has become a problem. So if we can help to reduce the stigma, people feel more confident in talking about it so that they can get the help if they need it. If that relationship has been built in a way that a young person feels safe to do that without being judged, they're more likely to talk to their parents. It's also a young person's journey, but it's also about recognizing that sometimes your kids are going to make choices that you might not agree with. And how do you set boundaries, and how do you feel comfortable to have those conversations even if you don't agree with what they're doing? One of the things that we think is really important when we're talking about young people and parents helping young people learn about substances is that often parents, their instinct is to tell a young person all the bad things that can happen when they use substances. So it's important to remember that fear tactics and worst case scenarios can do a lot of harm to the conversation. What that ends up doing is shutting down the conversation, and ultimately that's kind of the opposite of what we want to do. We want to open the conversation, start conversations so that young people can feel supported to talk to their parents when things are going well and when things aren't going well. It's important to have a program like Tuning In for Parents because young people often experiment with substances, and we want to give parents the tools to have conversations with their young people. What I think is really interesting is we often do programming for young people, but we don't always include the parents in the conversations. It's important to include them in the conversation, because if young people are getting to a point where they want to experiment or explore, it's important to be able to have that dialogue, because I think youth ultimately will benefit from parents who are wanting to have conversations that are difficult and hard and not comfortable. What I often hear from parents when they first come in is that they're really worried about their young person because they may have talked about their friends using cannabis or drinking, or they're getting into high school and the environment is changing. And so, we spend 6 hours together, and often the key thing that I think they appreciate is that they're in a room with other parents who are dealing with the same thing. So it normalizes it for them that they're not the only parent dealing with this, but it also helps them to realize what is the context that my young person is living in. So it gives them the opportunity to be able to learn from each other and learn different perspectives that might work or different information, and also learn from us around different tools that are helpful. And we've had an overwhelmingly positive response from parents. They really appreciated the time and the space to be able to have those conversations.